All right. Hello, everyone. John Marshall, the DrillMaster. I have the Missouri Military Academy 2022 Veterans Day review up on YouTube here. And I've been requested to give a critique. So here we go. So let's uh, let's go with some initial observations. And actually, let's try and go full screen here. There we go. That's better. All right. So we can see Army standards throughout. However, there's a couple of changes. So let's point out while the announcements are going on. I'll turn down the announcements. Actually, there we go. So you can see with the color guard there, the hands are in front while at parade rest. Band and the drum major, and then each. So let's pause. There we go. So so what's interesting is the uh, when I look at positions here, there's a lot of mixed standards, and it all comes down to, well, that's what we do at our school, and I get that, I understand, but actually it's a little more. I was going to say it's a little more involved, but actually it's a little less involved than that. It's what you wanted to do. It's what somebody at some point wanted to do, and it became school tradition. Although it's not school tradition, it's just what's been handed down over uh, just a few years. Maybe not even any longer than 5 or even 3 years. And it happens all the time with the big schools, the military academies, West Point and Navy and Air Force. They they'll do the same thing. It's just, well, that's what we do at our school. We don't follow the manual, even though we're supposed to, but this is what we do at our school. So no, let's get back to uh, Missouri Military Academy here. So guards have their hands. I've never appreciated the stance like this. Um, I've always appreciated more the reasoning behind the stance of putting wrapping both hands around the rifle. I'm very glad that you don't have, well, it doesn't look like you have fixed bayonets for the color guard. That's good. That's a big plus. But so when I'm talking about mixed standards, we have the Marine Corps parade rest with the hand in front and the left hand on the socket. And then we have the Army standard of the untucked flag. So if you were actually going after the Marine Corps techniques, then you'd have the tucked flag under the arm. But then again, you're using the taller staffs with the smaller flags, and which is fine. Army standards allow that. The other services don't. The other services, Army, Air Force, Space Force, they have the two sizes of flags, but Army's the only one that allows the taller staff and the smaller flag. It keeps the flag out of everybody's face, which I can understand. It just looks like a postage stamp on a really long stick, to me anyway. And I'm not a huge fan of the look. I prefer that longer, larger flag on the taller staff. Looks like we have. Looks like the team does have the spade finial, but then again, metal staffs. At least there's a glint on the U.S. staff there. Uh, Feet are are inconsistent at parade rest. So I'm going to take a wild stab that you're going after Army standards mostly, and that uh, that's what the school was based on, which was the standard for just about every military school in the nation when they were created, well over 100 years ago. My school, for instance, New Mexico Military Institute, all Army standards, but then little tiny things creep in there, and you get instructors who have the best of intentions, but they're either former or retired Marines, and the and I, don't get me started on the word former there. I understand. I get that. I really do. However, there's a reason why I use that term. Anyway, so they come in and they start working with cadets. I had um, I think he was a retired Marine, maybe staff sergeant, and he worked with our platoon in at Nimi. And when we would go out for drill, he would work with us. But all he knew was Marine Corps drill, and yet we were an Army school, so we were taught different things than the manual allowed. So it became a confusing time, and that was my introduction uh, to mixed standards. That well-intentioned people, they just had no idea that there were differences. So anyway, most of the platoons look to be well, actually every platoon looks to be within standards, at least from a distance, from what I can see here. So one of the things I've noticed is it. I'm not exactly sure if all of the company commanders had their. It doesn't look like it. I was noticing this individual here with the campaign hat on, the Smoky Bear, as it were. Yeah, he's not. So one of the standards is calling commands with the sword drawn. So you don't have the no idea why the different covers for the uh, uh, the commanders, but here you can see sword is drawn. So and then for staff, when the staff is called to attention. So when staff, one of the things that is also very noticeable, especially at military schools, is that everybody seems to be fixated on holding the scabbard all the time. And that's not a technique. Well, that's what we do at our school. All right, so either you're going to follow the military standards, or then you're going to have your own school type of tradition. And I also get it. I'm I attended a NMMI as in the junior college years, so I get that there is a strong adherence to, for me, NMMI and a love of the school and the tradition, etc. However, there are military standards. So why is the school, not specifically talking about MMA, but I'm talking about military schools in general, why is the school based in the Army standards but then creates its own? A little thing here, a little thing there. And let's say that, just for instance, let's say this is the commander of the Corps of Cadets right here, the battalion commander, and he's then going to go on to a college and then become an officer. So he's learned certain techniques that he's now going to have to unlearn as soon as he gets to a certain level, because this is the way the school did it. Well, and then when we get to college, well, this is the way we do it here. Then he gets into, let's say he goes into the Army. Well, this is actually the way we do it here in the Army, in the real Army, for lack of a better term. So I get school tradition. I understand that. I think school tradition is fine when it comes to certain things, but then it just doesn't it doesn't work well in every instance. I'll put it that way. So, adjutant's call. There's the adjutant who marched out at adjutant's cadence, which is really quick for the Army. All right, so regimental drum major isn't huh isn't using the mace commands, the usual mace commands, and so for those of you unfamiliar, sound off, the band uh, plays the three tones, then marches out in front of everyone, and then goes back into place and plays the tones again. Um, huh. So there are mace commands there, drum major. And the whistle was used with the signal baton. So the signal baton was the small, maybe 2.5 foot long. It looks like a miniature mace. Has the ball on the top. I lots of drum majors will use it, especially out in California. Military drum majors used to use them all the time, but that was many years ago. There's even a signal baton manual for all of the commands that were used. So you're using a drum major, you're using a mace here. It's a shortened mace. It's a little bit longer than a signal baton, but the mace then is used to give all of the signals silently to the band. And that means that the band would have to, you as the drum major and the band would have to understand all of the signals, what they mean, and how to execute them. That would take some extra work here, but I think it would be beneficial, definitely, to learn that. So you used a slower method. So proper execution of present by the platoon commanders who are at sling, and I'm wondering why you're at sling. So I've noticed different commands also given by the company commanders, different command technique, whether it's attention or tench who. So all army technique, but the whole battalion is actually put through the sequence at the same time. So it's not, you don't go by company. It's every company at the same time. I see a lot of hands coming out instead of your port, and then you reach up. I see hands instead of reaching up like this, I see hands coming out to smack. There's some timing issues, but that's to be expected. It's not too bad. Interesting sequence of events here. It really is. It's along the military standards, and yet you've put your own spin on it. So one of the things that can be a little difficult for someone in my position giving a critique on something like this is that while I'm noticing the American flag is much taller than the other two. Why is that? Why is that? Anyway, so yeah, there it is. Why is the American flag taller? Because you have it on a taller staff. Because you've been told that the American flag must always be higher. So, boy, I did not notice that at when you were at order. Oh, that's interesting. So everything, all of the staffs are the same length at order. What did you do to get to here? Look at that. What did you do to get to there to bring the oh, well, okay, you're at present there. Never mind. Sorry. But here you're not at present. All right, so staffs are, boy, talk about not being aware of what's going on. You're at present. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so anyway, getting back to my original thought here, the the school can follow its own traditions and ignore army standards in this case. Is that the case? Is that possible? So when you have your annual inspection, band, nice job on the ruffles and flourishes, or ruffle and flourishes. interesting to watch. It really is. And the band has its own guide on. But the band director is not. So, company commanders, you're not turning your heads when you when you echo the command. So, Regimental Sergeant Major, you're not following the command there. There, should have moved. RSM should have moved right there. You're sticking out like a sore thumb. Also, cranked wrist here for the commander. And I can't see the other wrists, but when you salute, and I happen to have my sword here, so I'm going to use my Marine NCO sword. But when you salute, instead of what you're doing here with that cranked wrist, like doing this, so that your hand is turned completely, what you need to do, see your thumb is on the top of the handle here. What your thumb needs to be is on the side. I know that the side is pointing up, but that's what you need to have right there. So that and then when you're ready to bring the turn the sword, then you can manipulate it like that. You just bring your thumb to the side for the next command of order. All right, so we'll skip the national anthem, but I'm not even going to attempt to discern what unauthorized version that was of the of our Star Spangled Banner. Boy, there are authorized. Seriously, there are authorized versions of the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, hey, here's something we have. This is interesting. So, this is a PC bearer at left parade rest. Okay, so PC bearer. This is a red flag. The brigadier general who's out in front because of the one ruffle and flourishes. It's a brigadier general. So this is a 1-star Army flag. This is an outside flag because it has the header band on it. That's that white band, and it has the 2 grommets that are only for attaching to a a halyard, the clasps on a halyard to run it up a flagpole outside. Well, the general's flags can be hoisted that way on a specific type of flagpole that sticks out from a building. Usually, it's just on a guide-on type staff and then placed in there. So the personal color for this general, for the actually for all admirals and generals, needs to have gold colored fringe. Also, it needs to have a staff sleeve. It's also called a pole hem. But since this is a flag staff and not a flag pole, then it's a staff sleeve. It's where the material of the flag wraps around and is sewn so that it forms a sleeve, more or less, that you insert the staff into. But this is an incorrect flag, and it's all and PC bearer. You're there because the general is there, and that's perfect. You're doing the right thing. You're just outside the reviewer's box there, and you're doing fine, except that you're at the wrong parade rest. We don't put the staffs, any kind of flag, any staff at all, in the left hand. It's always in the right. However, I appreciate the PC bearer's presence. That's great. Recognition. Okay, good. Let's back up here. Well, that's one way to get your staff to move, so that works. So your staff is moving to in place. The band moved forward for whatever reason. And now the staff is moving into place for the pass and review. So you do have a signal, at least, for the cutoff of playing. Step off could have been much better there, band, and everybody should have stepped off together. And drum major, why you do that with the mace? So for the commander of the band, saluting worked, but drum major, I mean, there's definite techniques that you can use to and you're not. See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't understand what that is. That doesn't. That's not a technique used by regimental drum majors. So you've got the salute, and you don't have much to go, so that you could use the mace as far as the different techniques, even using a walk. That's a bit of a saw technique there, with the arm coming up and not. You're supposed to have your. So, what's interesting is that the army technique of saluting while walking with the sword, I don't like it at all. It just doesn't look all that good. you're still swinging your arm back and forth, but you're not you're not supposed to saw anything off doing this. Okay, you're supposed to swing your arm back and forth so that it looks like this. Your hand is going to be along the same level. So you're going to extend the elbow, and then but you're going to bring the elbow back, but you're not going to bring the hand up. The elbow is going to bend slightly, but you're going to keep that hand along the same level. And it's a little bit of a weird technique. I much prefer the Marine Corps technique, definitely. So one of the very last military academies. Nice job, colors. Let's look at that again. So you're using Army technique there as well. You can hmm. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So I just making sure I had everything taken care of. So you're definitely using the metal poles, metal staffs, but you have Army technique all across with the left hand constantly on the harness socket. Both guards at right shoulder, both guards swinging their arms. You have the right or the sorry at for eyes right. You have everybody turning their head except the right rifle guard, which is an Army technique. Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard are going to keep that that U.S. color bearer's head straight forward because eyes right is a type of salute, and the American flag does not render a salute. It gets complicated, at least for me anyway, when we get into the Navy and aboard ship and all that with the dipping and all that. But that's the only time that happens is with Navy or even Army water vessels. It's a unique situation, but it doesn't happen on land. It doesn't happen for a color guard. As it doesn't happen on land, as far as I know. Usually, it's as from what I understand, it's only at sea. But so for a color guard, never going to. The American flag will never render a salute. So that's why the Marine Corps then keeps that national color bearer's head straight forward. So Army techniques are everywhere in the school, and yet there we go. There was a proper arm swing with the sword, with the company commander, that last company commander there. Well, that's a good attempt, but still, you can see here, the hand is coming up. The elbow's being bent, and that's not what you want. So a little bit of work is needed. Not as bad a sawing it's still a sawing technique, but it's not as bad of a sawing technique as the other company commander. Good job with the cadets. Perfect. Yeah. The ones who are at sling arms with their execution of the salute, bringing the hand from the sling to the salute, and then finishing the salute by dropping the hand all the way down to the side, bringing the hand back up, and then dropping left. Really good job there. Nicely done. So okay, so drum major, you have a couple of a couple of signals. Military bass drums are so easy to play. Boom, 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 boom. That's what I played. And cymbals, not anything extraordinarily difficult there. And snares are pretty straightforward too. Tenors just don't seem to fit into military bands. Now, military drum and bugle corps, sure, but now the military band is very limited, very conservative, very traditional. But that's okay. That's fine. All right, so almost finished. Well, nice job. So I don't know what input I had specifically that could be helpful for the school. One of the things that now I'll just zero in on the color guard. One of the things that is well, or can be. I want to get that there. Okay, that's better. One of the things that can be difficult for the school color guard is if the color guard then goes off to competitions. The school, the color guard is used to the school way of doing things, the school techniques, and then goes out into any drill meet and then performs, possibly using school techniques, and then the judges see that there's something different, and then that gets into, we don't have trained judges and the judges don't understand what they're seeing, and it's not a dig against judges, it's a dig against the system that we don't have. We don't have a judging system. There isn't one. There never has been one, and hopefully we can have one. I've got stuff at my website free to download that anybody can use. Anyway, so when the judges see this different technique, this different standard, then they go, oh, wow, well, I like that, I don't like that. It's natural to do that, purely natural. And so the school can get marked up or marked down, depending on the judge. Just because we graduate basic training or boot camp doesn't mean that we military members are experts in drill and ceremonies. Just because you're a drill sergeant or a training instructor or a drill instructor, just because you served on an installation honor guard at one time, none of that makes you an expert in drill and ceremonies. Makes you possibly a little more qualified at some drill and ceremonies adjudication, but judges need specialized training. So going out there and seeing these new different techniques, it can be positive or it can be negative for the color guard. So the color guard might want to stick with the training circular and stick to it very closely. So that means that the guards are going to have to do a little bit different for, well, actually the whole team is going to have to be a little bit different for parade rest and match the rest of the corps of cadets with hand placement and a couple other things that are there. But salutes, one count out, one count back instead of the three. I really prefer the three, especially when marching, but that's the case. That when you get out into that competitive world, then it's much different, and adhering to the letter of the performance, or the letter of the manual for the performance, then is definitely necessary. Anyway, maybe I've helped, maybe I've given you some input, but I appreciate the request. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, definitely let me know. I've been by and taken pictures of several military academies around the country, and I haven't driven through Missouri and seen MMA, although I'd love to. I really would. Even visit the campus. That would be great. But anyway, until that day, then I'll leave this critique for you. All right. Thanks again.